Hey, you're listening to Scam Me, the podcast that breaks down online safety and scams without the boring bits. We're here thanks to Inclusive Change at Work CIC, Avon and Somerset PCC, and Culture Gem. Let's get into it.
Hey, let's be honest. Compliance training is usually awful. But Culture Gem flips the script. It's the world's first fully inclusive, accessible training platform with 8 learning styles, colour customization, and even an escape room video game. And their phishing simulator? You build the scam. It sticks better that way. Smarter training, better retention, and it doesn't cost the earth. Try it free at culturegem.co.uk. And I'm going to start by saying welcome and hello. My name is Lucy, and I'm here with Cam today from an organisation called Inclusive Change at Work. We like to talk about neurodiversity, and particularly today, we're talking about staying safe online and being online as a young person and thinking of it from a perspective of people who might be neurodivergent. We are, and we talk about it a heck of a lot. So our podcast is Scam Me. So it's about scams, it's about gaming, it's about AI, it's about being online. And I'm going to hand over to Cam, who's going to start with some questions around artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Go for it, Cam.
Do any of you actually know what AI is? Artificial
Yes.
intelligence.
Yeah.
What is it?
You just said what it is. It's artificial intelligence.
But what does it do? How can it help?
It like it gives you like generated responses or images like for you if you give it like a prompt.
Yeah. So you've used AI before.
Yeah, I've used it like twice just for like see what would it do. So yeah.
Yeah. So can it be helpful in daily life? What can it help essentially?
It could, but I wouldn't know because I don't use it in daily life. I've used it like twice, and I was mostly me screwing around with it.
Playing around with it.
Yeah.
Well, what were you doing? Were you doing images or?
Images mostly.
We had some people saying that AI can take away artists' work by replacing artists with the AI images. Do you think that's going to ever happen, where artists become obsolete, or?
Currently, I don't think that'll happen. At very least, not for a while. Or as if you've ever seen AI art, you can see that there's no like soul to it. There's no actual, or like it's very easy to tell actual art between AI art.
I have seen some people, specifically people I'm related to, grandparents, on Facebook say, like, posting things about these 5 people, they're all turning 120 on the same day, but no one loves them and they need to share. Do you think that some people can be tricked by AI art?
Yes, some people can be tricked by AI art. And also, something I'd like to add on to that sentence I was doing earlier, or is that whilst it's not a problem now, as AI grows, it most likely will become a problem.
So as it becomes more intelligent, as it's, starts giving the right amount of fingers, or it will be a problem.
Yes.
Have you ever seen any of those photos where like they might have the wrong number of fingers on an image, or their shoulder is in another place, those kind of things? Have you ever seen anything like that online?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I have.
And did you spot it quite quickly? That just looks weird.
Yeah, it's really obvious to see.
But older people sometimes might not notice that, like
Yeah.
your grandparents are reposting things.
Yeah.
And how do we help them understand, that's not real?
I don't actually know how I'd explain AI art to an old person.
Yeah.
And I feel like for this generation, obviously AI art won't be a problem, as most people from this generation can tell AI art by a glance.
Yeah.
And however, are trying to explain that to an old person and how to differentiate it, I feel like that'll be pretty hard to do.
Good point.
Did you give them a strategy? Like,
Well, something you can do is for one, obviously, trying to look for someone that has the wrong number of body parts, or someone with, say, 6 fingers.
Yeah.
than for
Good idea.
or very weird discolorations probably,
Good.
or shadows that don't work right. Like say if the sun is in one direction, yet the shadow goes in the same direction as the sun instead of the opposite.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah, so it's looking for the little things that just don't add up.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something you can just look at an image and go, that's wrong, or do you have to go from experience? As in,
I
you've seen
feel
an image.
I have like quite a bit of experience with this, and it's also quite like easy to differentiate between AI and real art. Maybe it's because of how AI, like what tools AI uses.
Do you think AI can be used for good, and how can it make life easier for people?
Well, obviously it can make life very easy, but obviously making life easier is a double-edged sword. Or as say take this. It's the next generation of doctors. They're going to university, and now currently they're in their exams to actually become doctors. You know what's easier than actually doing the exam? Getting ChatGPT to do the exam for you. And
Yeah.
then we have a next generation of doctors who don't actually know how to do their job.
I think that's a really good point. Really good point.
That is a very good point. It's like we're getting to a generation of people that are relying so heavily on AI that they're not learning themselves.
Say things that have to be like mandatorily made, like say instruction manuals on certain things that can simply be generated as it's most likely the same thing that has to be written or printed over and over.
Yeah.
Good point.
So things like a book, an exam, they should be done by human hand, but if you're doing instructions, you need to just manually print them out. That's where
Something
AI
that
comes
is
in.
either very tedious and has to be done over and over and over,
Yeah.
or repetitive tasks should probably be done by AI,
Yeah.
as they can do it in seconds. And whilst by human hand will probably take around an hour, or depending on how many copies there actually are, of course.
Yeah. So what do you think AI needs to do, or what needs to change about AI to actually make it good, simply?
In simple terms, this might not actually be a fix, although I feel like it'll go a long way, is to not give AI access to the internet.
Oh, do you think we could do that? What do you guys think about not giving AI access to the internet?
I mean, it's a really good point to not give AI to the internet because it can end up in parts of the internet which gets to like interesting parts of research. But if we didn't give it access to the internet, it will be like more basic and more like not as intelligent.
So on one hand we've got don't give it access to the internet, but on the other it needs the internet to do things essentially. Okay. Let's say I came to you and said, can you build me an AI tool? What would it look like? What would it do? And it's all up to you. If you made it do something.
Okay. That's a hard question as I don't actually know how coding works.
Well, you don't have to code. This is just
What would you like it to
Yeah.
do?
What I wanted to do?
Mm.
Well, I wanted to help people. This is probably going to sound a bit cringe, but have you ever watched, just like, robots? That's a kind of AI.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever watched the movie Big Hero 6?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Baymax. Like, in fact, there are somewhat surgical robots being invented.
Mm.
Robots that, like, after all, there are very good things that you can do with robots. After all, you eliminate human error from the problem. A surgeon's hand can only be so steady.
Mm.
While a robot, its hand can be perfectly still. There's no jittering or gut feeling in a robot. It'll just do it.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So you're building the perfect surgeon.
Yes. And there are things like that now. After all, if you look at something like, say, Neuralink, think that Elon Musk was inventing. It had a robot to surgically implant the Neuralink into that. Imagine a robotic neurosurgeon who can perfectly remove a bullet from someone's brain.
I mean, incredible.
Would you trust the robot though? If we reach a point where AI becomes sapient or sentient, as it were, would you trust the robot to still want to do that? So there's a lot of fears about robots, uprising.
I feel like movies such as something like Terminator
Mhm.
probably aren't a very good accurate representation. There is, however, a thing in how we do make AI too intelligent.
Yeah.
You make it a string of code. You do this. It's like, hey, technically, this robot could be basically like the auto parking on your car. Or it sees the situation and then it moves perfectly to not damage any of the brain tissue, however, remove the foreign object.
So you're keeping it as a robot, no intelligence, just analysis, and it does that.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I'm going to make an awful segue because I can't really get into community from that. But we're going to go into the next topic, which is communities, specifically online communities. Do you think that social media and online communities like forums, for example, can help people feel more connected?
I mean, obviously, you're interacting with more people, although sometimes those interactions may not be what you want.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, as much positivity there is there is always just as much negativity. As many good people as there are in a forum or Facebook or anything else, there is as many any bad people there.
Yeah. But you can, let's say you don't interact with these bad people, or at least you avoid them, you can create a community, you can build bonds online then.
Yes, you can and very well build bonds with people. Or even if you don't know their face, you can build bonds with people as you're bonding with their personality. You're bonding with the person you're talking to, not a face you're talking to.
Yeah. So going off of that, how can communities be safe? How do they make you feel welcome? What can they do to make it seem like a safe space for you?
Well, it's a way to essentially remove anything that is unsafe. That is what report buttons are. That's how things are removed. Out with the old, in with the new, or out with the bad and in with the good.
I like that. I like that explanation. What types of communities are we talking about? What kinds of communities do you use?
I don't use social media.
No? That's do you know what's really
So I'll be
interesting?
honest, take everything I just said with a grain of salt.
I like that. Do you guys use social media or are part of communities?
About gaming or anything
Yeah.
like that. Do you game?
Yeah, I do.
So are you part of what gaming community are you part of?
I'm mostly part of more calm communities, like around my age, which is more calmer, more nicer. Like you meet a lot of nice people there. Like they can understand you, all that.
And is it like PC, Xbox?
It's mixed between the two. Yeah.
And what makes you feel safe? Why do you feel safe in those communities? How do you know people aren't catfishing you?
Because you could tell by how they speak or how they know a lot. By if someone is pretending to be younger, you could tell the way they're speaking sounds a lot more different to our generation, which sounds a lot more different.
Like by their phrases or
Yeah.
vocabulary or their tone of voice?
Like by their vocabulary and their phrases.
Yeah. So have you actually built a bond online with someone in these communities?
Only round about 3, 4, 5-ish friends around there. And I do
Yeah.
that for a few years now.
Do they live in England? Do they live because that's one of the positive things, isn't it? You can connect with people anywhere in the world.
Yeah, 2 or 3 of them live in England and they're really nice. They're around my age. Yeah.
So it is a good place to basically get out of isolation, I suppose, and meeting people online. It's a way to make friends that you wouldn't know in real life.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Cam, is that something that you've experienced?
Oh yeah, many times.
So being online and creating community and having friends
Yeah,
online rather than in real life?
I would argue that other than one person who I found out was my cousin about a year later. Every friend I've ever had has been found online.
Mm.
So yeah, basically every friend that I've had is from online, from as far as Alaska to New Zealand. So yeah,
It's kind of cool, isn't it? Really.
you're connecting to people all around the world in a way.
Yeah.
Like I'm hearing stories about, the person in Alaska, their dad used to chase bears as a child. I wouldn't know that. And then the one in New Zealand's looking at like their version of celebration boxes and counting how many are there. And interestingly, the only one we share are bounties. The rest are like New Zealand chocolates that I've never heard of.
Oh, we're talking about chocolates.
Yeah, yeah.
Celebration
Yeah.
chocolates.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I think it is a way to kind of explore without exploring. So let's say someone does want to build connections, they do want to make friends online. Is there any advice you give them if they came to you saying, I want to meet this person, or I've met this person, they're really cool, should I keep being friends with them?
Oh, like ask them like what type of phrases and like what they're using to like speak, like what phrases and that.
Mhm.
Like if it sounds a lot more different than our generation phrases, then I would be skeptical because it's unusual to hear other people use different phrases, like way older phrases than
Can you give an example, like of an older phrase,
uh
or like a phrase you might use?
I rarely use older phrases, but I did hear someone use a phrase that was like from like five-ish or 6 years ago,
Mhm.
which was skeptical of me to like think like why are they still using that even though it was really old phrase.
Good strategy. I've never thought of that before.
Yeah.
If I might interject into this, the way I say is that when I make a friend online, you keep it online.
Like that.
You don't meet them in person, and at very least, like anyone that seems like a nice person can also be a bad person. And so anyone that you meet online, you keep it online. And instead of attempting to go meet them in person the second they say it'll be at a place. Especially if they sound like they're really young.
That's a good way to keep safe then, ensuring that they aren't who that, you need to ensure that they are who they say they are.
Hey, you're listening to Scam Me, the podcast that breaks down online safety and scams without the boring bits.
So in terms of keeping safe online with other people, and you spoke about gaming, is there a way that you can, let's say when you download a game, you can tell it's actually safe, or that it's going to be safe and there isn't going to be bad people on it? Or do you have to go in and learn?
You mostly don't have to interact with the rest of the community in a game. Say I went onto look, what's a game that you know so you get it?
Just any game, I'll probably understand.
Okay then.
Should we say Roblox?
Okay then.
Oh.
Don't play it all that much, but okay.
Neither do I.
Pick a game you
Pick one that you know.
Yeah.
Okay then. And take a game like Call of Duty.
Okay.
There we go. I understand.
Knew you would. That's a very old franchise which keeps on getting new stuff, but
Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
If I play Call of Duty, I don't have to have a mic. I don't have to talk or use chat or use anything to interact with the other players or that are in the game that I'm playing, and whether it be on my team or the enemy team. I can just play the game.
Okay. So you know that you can just play the game without interacting with other people, but what if the game itself is the issue? Like if you're downloading it and it comes up saying we want permission to all your emails and stuff. Or
Well, then you have to give it permission, of which you just don't give it.
but is it safe to give that stuff away? As in, tick the box, etc. Or is it risky to give them permission to email you?
So the question is it legal to...
Not if it's legal, but if it said we would like permission to email you or we want to know your full name, etc. Do you get cautious?
Well, and I do get cautious, and that's mostly stuff that's done by mobile games and not big game companies, as is trying to find out too much personal information about a user is usually against most policies that games have.
Yeah.
I've
Do you-
realized that most companies like Xbox and PlayStation usually don't allow that.
Mm.
So it's usually only a mobile gaming thing that where that happens, which I'm pretty sure is actually illegal. Well, unless you obviously confirm to give them that information, of which are just kind of dumb.
Or need more information explaining why you shouldn't do it. Because you might not know, right? Could be a young person.
You don't know why. I
Could
don't
be
know
like
why
a
you're-
6-year-old who's like, oh yeah, I really want to play this game.
Yeah. Not only are in the first place the great games that do that usually not very good, but also like they're usually targeted so that young people do it. They're usually very repetitive
Mm.
and very kind of stimulating. They're meant and to at every term give you something new so that and it feels engaging. So that 6-year-old keeps on playing. So I'm pretty sure what they do when they get the information about you is that they sell it to other companies and people,
Yeah.
or for either targeted advertisement or DDoS attacks.
So we're segueing a little bit into hacking here. How would you keep your account safe from hackers?
Okay, well, for one, obviously, you don't sign over your bank account details to a game, but there's also stuff like VPNs.
Okay.
Are you sponsored by a VPN, by the way? Because it'd be a very good segue.
We're sponsored by Culture Gem, which is a learning platform and a cyber safety or a cyber security company.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Which is the picture of the lady.
The
That
sticker there.
Avatar.
That's Gem.
That's the company.
Yeah.
So
But yeah.
how can VPNs protect you?
Well, I've seen numerous sponsorships about VPNs, but I don't actually use them.
Yeah.
So I feel
Fair
like
enough.
someone that might.
We'll ask that person.
Yeah, exactly. Of
Yeah.
which I'm pretty sure to your right there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Someone who actually uses a VPN.
Yeah.
And then tell us about it.
Well, I know not a lot about VPNs, but they do quite interest me at how they actually do keep you safe from a lot of things. Because they do require a lot of stuff, like knowing which is safe or not, and it's interesting how they work.
So I've already said the name of it, but I'm not gonna say it in case we get like sued. But essentially every
I'm
time
pretty sure you can't get sued for that. I'm pretty sure that's like doing a free sponsorship.
like I use Surfshock VPN. Anyway, so
Let's tell them.
Sponsor me.
whenever I open my laptop, it immediately says
Hashtag ad.
it basically immediately says I'm in London and I'm not where I am, so that prevents people from going, when you're trying to find the location.
Yeah.
Apparently I'm in London in like a server database, or I could be in Sweden at any point, I could be in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And it's a way to also access sites from other countries. So if I want to go on to like American Netflix because they've got something that I don't have in the UK, I can just go, oh, I'm in New York suddenly.
See, you want to watch Free Guy? Oh, you can go to Australia where that's on Netflix.
Yeah, so it's an easy
I
way to
think.
basically kind of jump around the world, but also while keeping yourself safe, because according to your laptop, you are not where you are. So people that want to hack you can actually find your location. And it can do other things like keep your data secure.
Encrypted.
Yeah, it encrypts your data. Your history can't be found by hackers because it's all in the VPN. So it's just a way of preventing people from getting that information. Yeah.
Thanks, Cam.
No worries.
Yeah. On to our next section, I
On
think.
to our next section.
Yeah.
I think that was the last.
Every single one of these segues have been terrible.
That wasn't me that time.
No, that's true.
So it is the last question, I believe. You said earlier about using voice chat in games, or Call of Duty specifically. Is it a good idea to use it, or would you just avoid it entirely?
Well, being able to interact with your other players is obviously always going to be some kind of asset, and whether that be being competitive, even trying to form a strategy with your players, whether that be just trying to interact and have some fun and like do something goofy.
But can those interactions get, as they say, toxic? Or
Obviously, the Call of Duty specifically is very notorious for that.
so how would you keep safe in a voice chat?
Simple. If someone's toxic, they get muted.
It's good.
Honestly, I'm not even
strategy.
sure if I have my voice chat or anything turned on.
Good idea.
I always have mine where I can listen to other people, but they don't hear me. As in, I've always got.
That's just called muting your mic.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know why I just didn't say that, but yeah.
What are your thoughts, Rick?
Well, I do have to agree because, I mean, you do end up finding people like that being rude and that, and it is quite annoying to like hear a lot. And I do tend just to like either one, like turn down my volume so I can't hear them, or just like simply leaving the game and joining a different one.
Do you think it takes away from the enjoyment of gaming, like the fantasy of the game, when people are becoming toxic?
Yeah, it does get rid of a lot of the fun where I'm trying to like have fun and then a bunch of people end up like being rude and that, and it does take away like all of the fun.
That's it for this episode of Scam Me. Big thanks to our funders and sponsors, and to you for tuning in. Stay safe online, and we'll see you next time.
Ever wanted to make a podcast, build digital skills, and get real work experience in a supportive community? Project Sandbox is your space to learn, to create, and be heard, especially if you're disabled or neurodivergent. Want to be part of it or know someone who should? Head to icool-cic.com/sandbox and get involved.